A very warm welcome to all of you, dear student. Today we are going to start a new chapter of your course, that is moving charge and magnetism. As the name suggests, moving charge and magnetism. What does it mean? In this chapter, we will learn the properties of moving charge. What properties? Whenever the charge is in motion, it behave as a magnet, it produces a magnetic property, or sometimes it behave as a magnet. So in this chapter we will introduce the whole magnetism in the form of circulating currents. Means whenever the current is going to be flowing in the circuit, it produces a magnetic effect, it produces a magnetic field, it produces a magnetic behavior, and that behavior can easily be understood, easily studied when the charge is in motion. So until we have developed so much relationship for the charge in motion, so whenever the charge in motion, we can extend the same theory for the magnetism also. Now I am saying that whenever the current is going to flow in the circuit, it produces the magnetic effect. Now when it was noticed, it was a Hans Christian Ørsted who had discovered or accidentally discovered this phenomena. What happened when he was carrying an experiment? It was happened that a compass needle is placed near the circuit in which the current is flowing. As the compass needle is placed near the circuit in which the current is flowing, the needle is going to be deflect in a definite pattern. The needle is going to deflect in a definite pattern. Suppose there is a straight wire in which the current is flowing in the upward direction. So the deflection of the needle is in the form of this circle here. Suppose this is the imaginary circle with center SI. Actually it is a path of the magnetic needle. It is a path of deflecting magnetic needle. So here this is the path of the deflecting magnetic needle of the compass. So in this fashion the magnetic needle deflects. So it is important to note that magnetic needle is deflecting, it makes a tangent to this circle. It makes a tangent to this circle, and that tangential line is representing the magnetic field. That tangential line represents the direction of magnetic field through each and every point. Now what is the speciality of this imaginary circle? That if the current is being reversed, suppose if the current is flowing in an opposite direction, the orientation of the compass needle will change, will suddenly change. Okay, so here we came to know that orientation of compass needle purely depends upon the direction of the current. If the direction of the current changes, the orientation of the compass needle in the direction in which initially aligned is opposite. Okay, it changes its orientation, it changes its angle by which it is inclined at the current time. So reversing the direction of current can change the orientation of this magnetic needle. Can there be more ways? Can there be more ways to change the orientation of magnetic needle? Yes. If you increase the amount of current, the orientation will change. If you go nearer to this current carrying wire, the orientation will change. Okay, so this is the simplest, you can say this is the common observation that we have made when an current is flowing through a conductor and when we place a compass needle near the conductor. So this was the common observation that we have seen. On the basis of the above fact, Ørsted conclude that moving charge created a magnetic field, and that magnetic field exert a force on a magnetic needle, and due to that force it changes its orientation. Okay, now we will, in this whole chapter, we will assume a certain direction. Okay, so when the magnetic field goes into the board, we will denote by a cross, a circle with a cross. And whenever magnetic needle is coming out of the board, we will denote as by circle with a dot. So here we will follow this sign convention. Okay, when a magnetic field goes into the board, we will depict that magnetic field. We will denote that magnetic field by a cross. And whenever the magnetic field is coming out of the board like that, we will show that magnetic field by a circle with dot. Now, what are the properties of magnetic field? The first point is they can transport energy and momentum. As you know, compare the situation in the electric field. Electric field is an area around a charge that carries a electrical energy, or you can say they can transfer the both force and momentum. In the same way, magnetic field also carries a magnetic energy. Magnetic field also carries a magnetic energy, and they can do a work on a certain things by applying a force. So we can say that they can transport energy as well as the momentum. Second thing is that they take finite time for their propagation. For an example, suppose whenever you make a call to your friend, the call will take finite time. Why? Because whenever the source signal of the magnetic field goes from one position to another position, whenever the signal of the magnetic field goes from one position to another position, it will take a finite time. It is not like the Newton action and reaction. It is not like instantaneous reaction. It will take some time. That is another property of the magnetic field. Now, next property is they can vary with time. Means the magnetic field will change with time. Their magnitude or their direction can change with, can increase or decrease with time. Okay. Now, as you know, the magnetic field has both magnitude and direction. So magnetic field is a vector quantity. The magnetic field is have both magnitude and direction. So it is a vector quantity. So for they can assume a simple, or suppose we have to add a magnetic field at a particular point. Suppose we have to add a magnetic field at a particular point. How can we do it? It is in the same way that we have added the electric field. Means they follow a rule of vector addition. If we want to add a particular magnetic field at a particular point, we have to add them vectorially. So these are the some basic properties of the magnetic field, that they can transport energy and momentum. They take finite time for their propagation. They can vary with time, and they can be added vectorially. Okay. Now magnetic field. Next thing we are going to learn the Lorentz force. Let's suppose in a space there is both there exists a magnetic field as well as there exists a electric field. So in that space, a charge Q moves with a velocity v. What will it experience? It will experience both force, the force which is imparted by electric field and the force that is imparted by the magnetic field. So that charge in a space in which the electric field and magnetic field both are present, in that particular situation, this charge will experience a both force, that is the electric force, and it is the Q V cross B. That is the magnetic force. It is the magnetic force, and it is the electric force. And combination of both these force is known as the Lorentz force. So I am repeating again. Whenever any charge whose magnitude is Q and moves with a velocity in a region where the electric field as well as the magnetic field both exist, then that charged particle will experience electric force as well as the magnetic force, and the combination of these two forces is known as the Lorentz force. Now we can understand simple things from this fact. Now we came to know that magnetic force can be written as Q V cross B. Now here what we can gain the information from that formula. Here the magnetic force is directly proportional to Q. Means if the charge is more, the magnetic force will be more. The magnetic force depends on the dot cross product of velocity and B. What does it mean? It depends on the cross product, means here these two physical quantities, they are having the cross product. Cross product means, suppose if the velocity is in this direction, so magnetic field will be should be perpendicular to this direction, and direction of force will be perpendicular to both velocity and field. That is the meaning of this cross product. So it can be simply, let's suppose this is the direction of charge particle, and here perpendicular to it the magnetic field exists, then force will be represented, or force will acting along this direction. It is generally a cross product rule, and we will apply this rule. How to find out this direction? So what happened? Right hand screw rule. You have to put your finger in the direction of V, first component, in the direction of V, and curl your finger toward B. So it can be, this rule can be generalized as, suppose it is A equal to B cross C. Suppose this is B and this is C. So what is the direction of A? Firstly, you have to put your right hand in the direction of B and curl your fingers in the direction of C. Firstly, you have to put your finger in the direction of B and curl your finger in the direction of C. Then this thumb will give you the direction of A. The same cross product rule that you have earlier read in the class 11, that we are going to exploit the result of this rule. So whenever there are two cross products, they are at a right angle. So this is the direction of V, and if we curl this finger towards the V, we get the direction of magnetic, another third quantity, that is the force. So it is very simple, easy to understand. Once you have got sufficient expertise in this calculating the force, you will find very easy, because in this chapter there is a various rule to calculate the force. Okay, there's a Fleming left hand rule, and there's various rules. So you have to stick to this one simple rule. Okay, now if magnetic force will act only and only if the angle between the V and B is finite, there should be angle. If, let's suppose, magnetic field and the velocity are both parallel, so here Q V cross V sin theta, Q V cross V, so here F proportional to VB sin theta, and if you put theta is equal to 0, because they are parallel, so angle between them is 0. If we put 0, sin 0 is 0, so force will become 0. So whenever it will maximum when the angle between them is 90, and it will have some value when there is a finite we can say finite angle between the velocity and magnetic field. Okay, now it is measured in Tesla. We will measure the magnetic field in Tesla. So what is Tesla? F equal to Q V cross V, BB sin theta. Suppose sin theta we are taking as 90 degree. Okay, so sin 90 equal to 1. So B equal to F upon QV, sorry, and force we are measuring in newtons, charge in coulomb, and velocity is meter per second. So it will be Newton second, coulomb per meter, and that is collectively called Tesla. So we will measure the magnetic field in Tesla. There is one small unit called Gauss. So one Gauss equal to 10 raised to power minus 4 Tesla. That is the unit in which we work out to measure the magnetic field. Now student, we will calculate the magnetic field on a current carrying conductor, on a straight current carrying conductor. What is the magnitude of magnetic field? So assume there is a conductor of length, so I am drawing figure here or here. There is a conductor of length L, and area of conductor is A. So let's suppose let suppose there's a n electrons, let's suppose there's a n electrons per unit volume, n electron present in the per unit volume of this conductor. So let's suppose there are n electron present per unit volume of this conductor, per unit volume of this conductor. So the total charge, what will be the total charge? That is simply total charge is simply n into V, that is the total volume of the conductor, and V is nothing but the area into length. So we can write n into area into length. Now we have to calculate the magnetic force. The magnetic force is simply given by Q V cross P. Okay. Now Q is the simply charge and total charge is NaL. Total charge is LaL. Whenever there is a steady current I flows in the conductor, so what is the total charge which is flowing in the conductor? It is simply, suppose if I is flowing in the conductor, if a steady current I is flowing in the conductor, so we can because we have find in the total volume the NaL, there is a NaL charge. So for that current, how much charge would be present? It will be F equal to NaL into Q V cross V. And from our previous knowledge, we know that I equal to NEA Vd. And let's suppose the charge is moving with a drift velocity Vd. The charge is moving with a drift velocity Vd. So we can rearrange this term. So this Q is equal to E. So NaLe Vd cross V. So I hope you note down this. Now F equal to NEA Vd L cross V. We can rearrange this term L cross B. Now NEA Vd is nothing but I L cross V. So that is the force that we can obtain in a current carrying wire. Okay, when a current carrying wire, a straight current carrying wire, in which the I current is flowing, what is the magnetic force that it will experience or it will exert? So firstly we have calculated the total charge which is present in the volume of conductor, that is simply the number of charge into the volume. Then we know the formula F equal to Q V cross V, the total force. Okay, now here Q is the stands for the total charge, that is NaL into Q, that is the total charge present in this volume and whose magnitude is Q. Now we can replace Q by E because they are the electrons which are flowing. So NaLe Vd cross V. Now we can write that we know that from our previous knowledge I equal to NEA Vd. So we can put NEA Vd into L cross V. NEA Vd, instead of NEA Vd we can put I L cross V. Okay, and we are assuming that the charges are moving with a velocity Vd. Okay, so student, this is a mere derivation. You have to understand how the derivation is going to be done and what are the important points. Okay, so I hope you understand, and if you have any doubt you can share your doubts on our WhatsApp group that we are making for you. Okay, thank you.